Welcome back to Steelers Therapy. I'm Ron John. Let's get into it. So I've been thinking about the Pittsburgh Steelers in the unwinnable situation that they're in right now. There's really no other way to put it. No matter what the Steelers do, they are going to piss some people off, and rightfully so. So let me explain this to you kind of piece by piece. The first piece is they have no real plan at QB, and they never did. And the Steelers ultimately are seeing the consequences of that right now. They have tried everything, really, since post Big Ben's arm surgery in 2019. They've tried an aging Big Ben. They've tried Kenny Pickett. They've tried Mason Rudolph. Aging veterans like Russell Wilson, like Mitchell Trubisky. They've really done it all. Justin Fields in resurrecting a new project. And none of it has worked. And ultimately, the results are the same. They are a second-tier team in the NFL. Do not make any questions about that. They are not on the level that the top-tier teams are on. At best, they beat average to below-average teams. They're never truly a contender, and they're found out very quickly in meaningful games, i.e. playoff games. They don't even necessarily have this allure that some second-tier teams do where, if they get hot, they can get there. Or if they just had this. They seem to just be permanently, statically stuck in this second-tier type of situation. And ultimately, the ceiling is low for Pittsburgh because of our quarterback play, one, and because of our style of coaching, number two. Now, on the topic of coaching, let's talk about how we have this coaching misalignment problem in Pittsburgh. And oftentimes, you're not going to hear people tell you this, so this might be the first time you kind of hear this, but ultimately, Mike Tomlin is not a bad coach. He is a motivational coach. That is his style. He's able to motivate players that maybe aren't as talented to help raise their capability. He builds relationships. He keeps players locked in. He runs solid practices. He looks after fundamentals. He is a great spokesman for a team. So he offers so many good things. But what is Mike Tomlin not? He's not an offensive mastermind. He's not a schemer. He's a fundamentals guy. He talks blocking, tackling, catching. And guess what? He also doesn't develop QBs. That's not his strength. That's never been his strength. His coaching style works like you saw with the Pittsburgh Steelers in the mid-2000s. They've got talent. They have a Super Bowl ready roster with a capable quarterback. He can give them that motivation, that structure, those fundamentals that they need, keep them competitive long enough where they can win a Super Bowl. Steelers went to two of them, and they won one of them. But ultimately, Mike Tomlin is built for a situation like that. He's not built for a rebuild of a team that needs to draft young players and develop them, and maybe has a team with less talent that needs elevated by schemes and putting in good positions. So it's not, Mike Tomlin is a great coach, and it seems to be this ferocious fight between, is he a good coach, is he not? He's good for his style. His style doesn't meet every team's needs. At one time, it met Pittsburgh's needs. Now it does not. Something else to keep in mind. This, along with Mike Tomlin's coaching in his style, the Steelers have finished 500 or better since Mike Tomlin has taken over. Really, their last losing season was in 2003, and it was just one of a few between then and probably the 80s. So, the Pittsburgh Steelers are not accustomed to drafting high. And when you have a coach that always is able to motivate their players, and keep them at a 500, slightly better record, you're never going to get that draft capital that you need to find a QB that's ready now. Ultimately, that is the sticking point. So the Steelers are kind of in this situation where they fumbled things away with Justin Fields. I think likely holding out for maybe something else. They're scrambling. They don't have options in the draft for a ready now quarterback, and they're all obviously desperate. And everybody knows that at this point. Can't look to the draft for a guy to make you competitive. Don't really have any great quarterbacks out there, and the ones that were, you didn't move on. So what do? You try to send Aaron Rodgers flowers and let him wait as long as he wants. And, ultimately, what is Aaron Rodgers going to do? He's going to see that. He's going to take that leverage, and he's going to flex it. He's going to make the Pittsburgh Steelers wait. So this only makes this quarterback situation more of a mess for the Pittsburgh Steelers, regardless of what they decide to do. So there's also the component here of you're never going to make fans happy in Pittsburgh. And I'll tell you why. Because the fans want three things. They want these three things no matter, and all together. They want to be a contender again. They want to be one next year, and quickly. They want a young franchise quarterback, so they know our organization is going to be taken care of. We're going to be competitive for a long time. And they want to know if they sign a QB to Pittsburgh that they'll fit into the Steelers mold or the Steelers culture. And you can't have all three of these. It can't happen. It's very hard to get a young franchise guy. You need to draft in order to do that. The Steelers are going to have a down season or make a big move and give up a lot of future, draft capital and others to do that. But it looks like that's not an option this year. Might be an option next year. And fans want to be a contender. So sure, certainly we want to be a contender, but the only way to do that now is through free agency. And really, with the quarterbacks left, the only way to do that is through Aaron Rodgers. So the folks that say, I want you to be a true Steeler, well, he's what's left, and he's the best of it. So, at some point, I think us as Pittsburgh Steelers fans need to have a come-to-Jesus moment and realize, while there is a great Steelers culture, we love this team. We ride or die for this team. We've won 2 Super Bowls, I think, in something, 45 years? That's not really that good when you think about it. That's right on pace for if everybody, split the odds of having a Super Bowl. You win one every 32 years. I mean, it's not great. And the Steelers haven't won much lately. We haven't been relevant lately. And what is the Steelers' way? Really? What is that way? Is it to be have a defensive, minded organization? Is it to run the ball and stick to... Well, sometimes those things don't work anymore. And who you want to be doesn't work anymore. So I'll leave you with this, kind of an analogy so you understand where I'm coming from as far as the Pittsburgh Steelers and our culture and our allure maybe not being quite what it was as we're demanding of people to come to the Pittsburgh Steelers when really we would take anybody to just help us win. Think about the company Kodak. Now, for those of you who don't know Kodak, they used to be this great big film company, right? They made cameras. They were analog cameras, 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe even before that. And they were raking in cash. And then one day, I think his name was Steve Sasson in like 1979 or 78, comes into senior management office. This is one of the biggest companies in America. They're just humming. And says, hey, I invented this. It's called the digital camera. And management decided to hide that. Hey, put this over here. Let's not worry about that. If that were to get out, there wouldn't be a need for film anymore. And that's where we make all of our money. We're in the film business. And they didn't listen to Steve Sasson. They hit it. And ultimately, about 10 years plus later, somebody else developed the digital camera. And then by the 90s, when they realized they had to get into that business, they were too late. And then they downsized their employees. And then I think sometime in like maybe 2010, 15, they went bankrupt. But it's an interesting story because management did not want to see the change that was happening. They didn't want to admit we're in the wrong business. And I'm telling you, in life, whether it's your job, your company, your marriage, whatever, things can turn quickly and you realize I'm in the wrong business. Something's changed. The market, the environment, something's changed. They were not in the film business. They were in the memory making business. As soon as the digital camera came out, film is no longer relevant. Maybe for a few years during the transition, but have to adjust. They didn't adjust. They waited forever to adjust. Watch other people push the digital camera forward, and people don't even still make money off of that, right? They make money off of your cloud storage and stuff like that. You're in the memory making business, not the digital camera business or the DVD. Those things are going to go away. Think about what business you're in. And the second you figure that out, it'll change. So you've always got to be on top of it. Now, what does this have to do with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Well, the equivalent of Steve Sasson inventing the digital camera is when Tom Brady and Bill Belichick showed us that how you win in this league is with an excellent coach, franchise QB combo that can work together and essentially just cripple people on offense. The coach fields a defense that's competitive enough. They scheme the offense and let the quarterback demonstrate their best traits, and together they win. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady took over the NFL doing this. It happened in pieces and parts back in history, but ultimately nothing like what we're seeing in the modern day NFL. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, that's what a coach QB combo looks like. Then what happened? We see players like Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes doing it. We see Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts doing it. We're talking about offensive coaches who pride themselves on their abilities to scheme, their abilities to be smarter than other coaches. We're talking about quarterbacks that have tremendous talent, tremendous leadership capability. This is now how you win in the NFL. You don't win by great defense. You don't win by great running game. You win if you've got that great coach quarterback combo with the characteristics that I outlined. Mike Tomlin doesn't have that. Doesn't mean he can't win a championship anymore. I'm sure he can. There's going to be exceptions to this rule, but this is what we're seeing. And the Steelers have continued to double down on Mike Tomlin, especially, in a team that needs a young quarterback. Mike Tomlin has opportunities for a second act where I think he could be tremendously successful with a quarterback that's already established and has talent with pieces, right? Doesn't have to develop the quarterback, and can get that team to be successful. But the Steelers are ignoring this. They've continued to ignore this. They're trying to put washed up free agent quarterbacks with a coach that is not relevant anymore in the NFL with his style. He's relevant in the NFL, but he's certainly not relevant for teams like Pittsburgh that don't have, an offensive identity, don't have a quarterback. So how long are the Pittsburgh Steelers going to continue to watch and ignore after being told, hey, this is the way, this is the new invention, before not doing it? Luckily, the NFL has a draft process, and the worst teams get the best draft positioning, so they're getting great capital. So it's not quite what free markets are as far as companies that just die and go away. They're going to continue to have chances, but they're going to continue to not be relevant and slowly die until they get a coach in quarterback combo that could compete with the likes of Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. Until we do this, the Steelers are going to continue to suffer, and they're going to suffer the fate of Kodak and how they think about their competitiveness. So what do you think? Can the Steelers be like Andy Dufresne and crawl through a mile of crap and come out clean the other side with this free agent Aaron Rodgers saga? Or are they just going to be covered in that crap at the end of this? I don't know that there is a right answer for them. They're going to be criticized either way. Either way, I don't see them being competitive next year, whether they get Aaron Rodgers or whether they draft a quarterback 21. They're going to need to be in a top 10 position to get a real quarterback. And until they take their medicine and get there, or until they make moves to get there, we're going to keep on this hamster wheel of motivating teams just enough to have a winning record, and we're all going to go crazy by the end of it. Like, subscribe, share. We'll see you next time.